What's going on, everybody? Johnny Brock here with another episode of Medicare Agent Chronicles. I have Will Thompson, a good friend of mine who actually I met about several years ago. It's probably 4 or 5 years ago at the Brock Insurance office in Tupelo, Mississippi. Um, and yeah, so I got Will on today. We're going to chat about his business and kind of take it back a little bit, to years ago when we originally met. So Will, thanks for joining. Tell everybody the name
Thanks
of
for
your
having me.
company and give an introduction to yourself.
Yeah, so Complete Senior Benefits, we opened up actually right around the time we met. We met when we were at I believe it was the old office, what you guys call it out there, until you guys got the new one
Yep.
recently. But started that several years ago. I know when we met at the old office, you guys were, getting a lot of downlines and doing a lot of recruiting and stuff. So that's originally why I was out there meeting Justin online, finally in person. So Complete Senior Benefit started a little bit right after that. Kind of got right when COVID hit. It was kind of in that unique time where COVID became a thing in 2020, and the market was kind of going to that shift between the in-person booking appointments, door to door, face to face, to going to the telesale space, which it went very rapidly towards in 2021. So CSB was born in the in that great awakening, as you call it, of the telesales era. Myself being, as your brother and you, we're the door to door sales guys. So, booking appointments, going to see folks, having people come in as you guys had that brick and mortar in downtown Tupelo. But, kind of a weird experience to go from how CSB was created, which, is owned by us three individuals who were all, life insurance and Medicare, door to door appointment setting, to all of a sudden the telesales, which, has industry has done a lot, but for the rapid change that we had in 2020 to 2021, very interesting to see how the telesales came about. So, right around that time is when CSB started, which was kind of a unique story to follow.
Yeah, no, it's actually the perfect excuse to figure out telesales is, hey, it's COVID. Nobody wants to get out of their house, so everybody's
Yeah.
answering the phones. Nobody wants to meet you in person because they don't want to get sick. Um, I actually have a similar. It's not that similar. You were in it for a lot longer than I was doing the face to face stuff. But I when I started in Medicare, and my first 3 months, 3 months, I was doing. Actually, I'd say more like my first 6 months. I was doing all face to face, and what I would do is I would buy leads, and I would just call and schedule appointments. And I quickly did the numbers, and I was like, look, I'm getting I had a really good show rate in North Mississippi. It's like 60%. I feel like it's pretty good. It's decent. 60 to 70% show rate. So it wasn't that bad. But what I ended up doing was, about 6 months after I started, I bought a bunch of, I was buying direct mail leads, and I was just setting up door to face to face, and I was going door to door. So like the ones that didn't answer, I would go door to door. And then eventually I just stopped going to their door, and I just kept calling them. And I realized that I would have more deals because I was not driving. I wasn't going to a house, missing an appointment, and taking up 3 hours. I was just calling, and then I would even buy aged leads. And I started calling just aged leads, and I would do education on Part B premium increases and things like that. And literally started just closing crazy amounts of deals off of people like that honestly, because here's my take on the industry. People don't work leads. So if you have leads, if you get aged leads, the odds are those leads were never worked, because
Oh, for
agents
sure.
don't work leads. They don't do their job. That's so you could literally, I believe wholeheartedly, and I know you have all these regulations now about aged leads and all that shit. But I do believe that you could build a business off of aged leads. If Medicare wasn't there, I would do final expense, and I would buy aged leads, and I would just work. I see these kids on Instagram and TikTok, and they film themselves. They get a little one of these, and they set it up and they film themselves making calls and they get
Yep.
great content out of it. I love it. And honestly, I might start doing some more of that because I don't do enough. Like, I do a lot of training. Like, I'll set my whiteboard up and train, but I don't do enough live calls. And I know how good I am at it. So
Well, I think you have to.
that's telesales is awesome. So your business now is all about telesales, right? It's all virtual
Yeah,
telesales agency.
and to go to exactly what you're saying with the timing, I think that, with the time that you were spending on going, driving, I think, and
Doesn't make sense.
you would always innovate, right? So you would always, eventually it was you booking the appointments, you going to the houses, you taking a day out of the field to book the appointments to, I had somebody teach me how to find, how to find someone to book the appointment. So I had those extra 2 days rather than taking Monday in the office and Wednesday or Thursday in the office. So you just started, you know, kind of moving your business towards,
Mm-hmm.
having 8 to 12 appointments. And so when I was doing 15 to 20 deals, in the week, I was doing 8 appointments, right? In 2 days, and I'd have the no's, I'd have the people not home and the show rates. And then you start looking at how much it costs, where are you driving, how far you're driving, how
Yep.
tired are you? And when you're in person, you're selling yourself, right? So you're transferring that energy when you were in the house. And if you've, been to 14,000 houses that week, drove 17 million miles, and it's Thursday, like, you're losing that energy. And then you come home and you're tired, and it starts
Yeah.
bleeding over into your personal life. So, telesales did give you the advantage to take, and I will never take back the experiences and the
Oh
people I
yeah.
met and the things like, and how you just learned, you know, how to sell to people, how to, talk and show, empathy and compassion and things like that, that you're passing on, because the sales is just transfer of energy. So when you were learning those things, I think that's why our business has done well with me and my partners. We all did life insurance field sales. We all moved to Medicare field sales. So we learned, and I think a lot of the industry, when they're building, when a lot of these agencies are coming up and thinking, oh, we can just spin up a call center, they're missing that essence of learning how to deal with people, and they're trying to do it just all over the phone. And you can't do it as you think that you have this fast paced build an agency, but you're missing, that I'm going to use the word elegant, the elegance of being in the house and really getting to know the people and learning that's true sales structure.
It's personal. You're missing the
Yes,
personable
yeah,
relationship, and also, I mean, let's be real here. The retention is significantly higher.
yeah, no
But
doubt.
what I would say is what I would say to a new agent is, actually what I would say is you might want to consider doing some door to door, some
Or even in
appointments,
person.
maybe.
Just do some in person
Yeah.
appointments.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, what you can do is you can drop mailers, you can drop Mets up mailers, you
Yeah,
could, whatever, um, or you could get, information on people that are turning 65, print out an educational flyer and just pass it on to them. There's a lot that you can do, and it may be beneficial in the beginning for you to do that while you're learning, but I know that, you know my personality is more bang 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 bang, push shove. So it doesn't fit me to be driving around to appointments and this and that. But
yeah.
how many agents do you guys have now?
So we're going into AEP. We had 100. Those are incredible agents that we've, kind of gathered throughout the year. We kind of did a really good, unique hiring process where we interviewed really well a few times. We took them through a process and really studied, who they were, how they sold, where they came from. So it kind of helped us, build an agency, to where we didn't have a lot of turnover. We've got 100 good, strong agents that we've had through AEP. It's crazy. Last AEP, we only had 18 agents on the phone. And this year we're going into this or we went into it with 100 agents, which is just incredible to talk about the staff that we've had, the recruiting process, the onboarding team. Me and my partners did a good job with setting up, tests that these agents have to go through when they're going through training and contracting. They would get paid based off of, when they got on the phone, a sign-on bonus. They would get paid based off of how how their test results came back from when they were paying attention in training, and that cut down on a lot of people who weren't paying attention or who were just buying time for that week. So we really we really just were,
They were in
creating a
depth with the
good
training. Yeah, and you had a
100%.
good
And you
culture.
have to be. We did,
Yeah.
and that helped us get to the 100 solid agents. I feel like when it comes to the staff that we have and the agents we have, one thing that we would jump in and talk to them as we were, starting the contracting classes, is our favorite thing to say was, "Hey guys, we're just going to be adults here. Like, we're going to treat you guys like adults. You're going to treat us like adults. Our managers like we're, like adults." Because this industry, I feel like has a lot of laziness when it comes to agents, switching from, you know, um, agency to agency to agency, and
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of,
Do you,
as many serial switchers as we have on the Medicare client basis. It's
do
just
you
as
do
bad
you
with the
focus on
agents.
do you focus on new agents, or do you focus on people that are already licensed and certified and all that?
Our staff is probably 50-50. I feel like we've been able to
Right.
bring a lot of I tell you what a lot of it is. A lot of it is from the, new agent, like hasn't been in the Medicare space but is in some form of a insurance sales, like
Yeah.
PNC. I feel like there's a lot of even life insurance, bringing those guys over. So when it comes to hiring new insurance agents, I don't feel like we do a lot of new insurance agents, Medicare agents, when we're like getting their license, but we find people in the industry just in a different platform, whether it's PNC, whether it's life insurance. I feel like they have that, not necessarily the Medicare knowledge, but they have the, like we were talking about, the sales experience about insurance and how important it is. That
I,
stuff
I'm
is just hard to
I'm
teach.
I want I want like only people that have never sold insurance at all, and
Yeah,
it's just
there's a value
how I
to it. I can
am.
see that.
I
Yeah,
want to be able to. I don't like bad habits. I don't like,
they're
and I
hard.
know you have I know you have issues with that. I know you have people that come in and why should I cross sell? I don't believe in that product. It's like, okay, you have these different habits that come along with dealing with people that are already in the industry. So, but the thing is, I don't want 100 LOAs. I want, like I told you the other day, 20 LOAs
Yep.
max. I'd be cool with 10 to 15. They're doing 40, 50 a month. And the reason I want to, I do believe that there's value in flying under the radar. I don't want thousands of LOAs. I'm not trying to be a billionaire. Like, this is not the industry to, I mean, yeah, you can do it, but you have to be in it for 40 years, 50 years, I feel like, to do it the right way. Like, we saw with a company this year what it's like when you come in and you get a lot of attention, and what comes with that is a lot of negative attention, a lot of complaints. You're trying to grow at an extraordinary level in the Medicare space where it's government regulated. I think I truly believe that you should fly under the radar in this industry. I don't think that you should get 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 agents in the first 18 months of your bid. Like, that's not something I'm interested in.
When you do get to
I
that,
want 10 to 20
it's,
killers.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
It is
it's
very
a
hard when
completely
you get to
different it's
that.
a different monster.
Sure. When you get to that
And
100 LOA, I can say it's hard. The compliance is definitely something that this industry has now started to get more serious about, which I'm excited about that. I think we need
more,
more
yeah.
compliance. I don't think
We need
regulation
less
with compliance,
bullshit
but
SEPs. We need less
yeah,
bullshit
but we,
SEPs. We need less unethical
yep,
assholes in the industry
yep.
that are just swapping people left and right. We need, and honestly, maybe we should build something that goes back to its roots and does more face to face, in person stuff, to avoid the compliance aspect of things. But if you do a lot of deals, there's nothing you can do. I'm
No, you're
working
going to
with a
get
guy right
complaints.
now. I'm working with a
It's,
guy right now that's doing that I helped set up some marketing for, and they just got their first complaint, and they're worried about it. And I'm like, look, dude, like, you guys are writing a lot of business. Like, you're
yeah.
gonna get complaints. Relax,
And
it's
I
no big
think
deal.
that, and I do think the carriers play a big role in baiting these, complaints, because I have agents that, their calls are just,
One thousand
immaculate
percent.
for
One thousand
compliance
percent.
wise. And then the reason the complaint came in, and they have to investigate it. But when they call into said carriers, it's like, they'll take, the customer rep will be like, well, the only way I can do this is to file a complaint. Do you want to do that? Do you want to go back to your old plan? The only way I can do it is this. And I'm like, what do you want the client to say? Of course they're going to say that. Like,
Well,
you're
the
telling
way
them
to
how they can.
I had it, dude. The same guy I'm working with. They had a client call them, call into the office and ask to cancel the application. Like, I decided I didn't want this, and then the administrative person got on the phone with that client, called into the carrier. I won't name the carrier, but it doesn't surprise me with this carrier. They called into because this carrier historically has way more complaints than any other carrier that I work with. But they called into the carrier with the client on the phone. They asked to withdraw the application. The application had not gone into effect. And they escalated it. I think that the person said something like, yeah, I didn't really want it. And they escalated it to a complaint. Well, if I would have been on the phone, obviously I would have been like, there's no need to file a complaint. That's not really necessary. And I would have also told the client, like, what we don't want to do, because, obviously you don't want to file a complaint against us, do you? Before I got on the phone. Well, since you don't want to file a complaint against us, let's just make sure we withdraw the application. And that's all. Sure. Because if we give them any information, they're going to file they're going to escalate. That's what they're trained to do. Is escalate it to a complaint.
Nothing unethical was done. Nothing unethical was done. Right. The client at the time wanted it. They signed up for it. They gave her their verbal. The scope was done. The summary of benefits was read. Everything was handled. The client just, for whatever reason, which happens, right, just didn't want the plan, didn't feel comfortable with it. And they did the right thing by calling the agent back saying, hey, I don't want this. I mean, you can counter a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's what they want to do. So calling it. So it's crazy to me that we end up in the specific thing you just said. That is probably 70% of the complaints.
I agree.
The other 30 is real stuff like, clients not agreeing and not getting read the benefits or getting switched to something for a give back.
Oh, hey, what's up? This is Johnny with
it. Do you want $100?
Yeah, you want $100, bro? All right, I'm gonna get it for you. I'm gonna send it in the mail, okay? And then they, But I called into one carrier. This is probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. I called in and I was withdrawing an application for a client, a loyal, longtime client of mine. I call in. I'm like, hey, we want to withdraw this application. They decided to keep their other plan. I was the agent of record on the other plan. This mother effer said, okay, we're also going to file a grievance. And I said, no, you're not. Did they ask you to file a grievance? And then they stood there and I said, look, I'm the agent of record. I wrote this policy. They're already my client. They didn't ask you to file a grievance. So no, we're not going to file a grievance. We're going to withdraw the application and that's the end of it. And I didn't get a grievance on it. So sometimes you just got to be bold with those people, I feel like.
Well, in the compliance, we're sitting here talking about it. The carriers are the ones that control it, which is crazy. But 70% of these things that we're dealing with, and these agents that get termed for, writing 100 policies in a month, which are legitimate policies, and then they get, 5 complaints. Well, look how many apps they wrote. Of course they're going to get some. And of course you're going to get
I think 100 applications in a month, unless it's AEP,
it's a lot. That's too
many. It's too many.
That's a lot. And I'm using exaggerated numbers. But most good telesales agents are going to write between 30 and 50 complaints.
Here's the thing: 100 applications. I've written 100 applications before. The most I've ever written in a month is probably 140 in October 2023 or something. This year I'm aiming for 100. I think I'm at 70 right now, so I should get it. But anyways, the people who are writing that many plans, I don't want my agents writing that many plans because I know how hard it is. It's hard. You know how many times I'm like, oh gosh, did I do that correctly? Or like the other day, I'm in the trenches. I'm writing a bunch of deals. I had a client whose last name was, let's just call him, I'm going to say a different last. Let's call their last name's Brock. Well, I put a different last name on. I messed up 4 applications on that same person because I'm doing so much shit. So I don't want my agents that I scale for I want them doing during AEP. Look, I'm cool with having agents do 75 a month. That's what I'm cool with. You do 75 a month, you'll get 175 deals. It's controllable. It's a good amount. They're doing compliant work. They're not, money. They don't have commission breath. I'm honestly cool with that. I really am. Because I've written, I wrote 250 in AEP. And then you got these guys out here. I won't name any names, but you got these bozos out here that are like, oh, I'm doing I did 100 in the first 4 days. It's like, dude, you
No
fucking
shot.
what? You did
No
not do
shot.
100 in the
No
first four
shot.
days. You submitted 100 apps and you talked to those people the first 14 days of AEP, of pre AEP.
100%.
We know what you did. We're not stupid. You can't even have a conversation with 25 people a
No
day
way.
for 4 days straight. It's not possible. And then also, I'm waking up at 5 a.m. doing it. You're not waking up at 5 a.m. doing it.
Dude,
And
no
if you
shot. People don't
are,
even know. The
then
seniors
those
don't even get started till 10
they
o'clock on the East
don't,
Coast.
dude. Nobody
No.
does. Like nobody gets up at that time. Seniors
No.
sleep in more than we do. It's
Yeah, they're
fucking
not ready till
crazy.
10 o'clock. So we don't answer the phones till 10. We don't get on the phones. We do trainings from 9 to 10 to let the seniors wake up and everybody get in a good mood. So
I have
that's,
a, and that's the thing. Like right now, I'm in, I'm in a time zone that's usually 2 hours ahead from where I do most of my business. So right now it's about to be 12 o'clock, and that's 10. So I usually get started around 11. So about 9 o'clock where I call most of the time. So I like the hours. 10 to 7, 10 to 8. 10 to 9. I like the late evenings. I've written so many deals in the evening times of things. So, anyways, I got a question for you, man. Where do you see the company going? What's the vision look like from an agency standpoint for you and your partners? What are y'all's goals?
yeah, goals for this year. Obviously, we're hitting a lot of the goals that we had set out to. We wanted 100 agents going in AEP. We did that with a little extra, which was good. 15,000 apps is what we're targeting for this AEP. That's a very doable number.
Mhm.
We got the leads. We've got the inbound calls ready to go. We've done an immense amount of training getting up to that. September and October, the first part of that was done there. So our agents are ready. We're ready. My staff has done an incredible job with we've had some RTS issues that we've had to work through. Some of the carriers, some of the releases were, you know how it is just right before the AEP starts with the carriers. But,
Yeah.
this year we're going to do 15,000 in AEP. And then
Wow.
January, we're going to open up the doors a little bit and try to get, a few more LOAs in. I really do think that, 125 to 150 agents is really all
You cut out on
we're gonna
me.
carry.
Yeah, there you go. You cut out
There we
on me
go.
for a second. I don't know what
Yeah, the
happened.
125
Wow,
to
you cut out on me
150.
again.
Uh-oh. Me or
It
you?
seems like, hold on, if I open up my phone,
That's funny.
well, maybe not. I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyways, keep going.
Can you still hear me now?
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
I stopped hearing you when you said open the doors.
Yeah, so I think this year, going into next, I think we're going to do about 125 to 150 LOAs is kind of where we're going to get. I think that's our controllable number for our staff size. We don't want to get too top heavy, but I feel like we can run with the staff that we have about 150 top end agents compliantly. That's kind of where we want to stay as we do get ready for an acquisition here. It could be next year or the year after, but where our book is getting and the type of retention and the customer service that we're going to be able to handle, I think 125 to 150 LOAs is where we're going to stand. I really do want to put an emphasis on, helping other agencies as we get into next year after OEP. Me and my partners have done an incredible job with coming up with a good telesales platform that sells compliantly, has good training, has a good team structure. And a lot of stuff I've learned, watching your brother and, just having a relationship with him, he's done a good job, some of the stuff that you've brought on and just, learning from different, I'll use the word pioneers in the industry, just from the relationships that me and my partners have had. But a lot of good mentors in this space. We've saved a lot of money and a lot of time by, really, digesting what they've said and kind of following their lead. Um, so I think the 150 agents that we're going to get, we're going to look at, probably 8 to 10 downline agencies next year is where we feel like we can, handle, really going in and helping them, turn up the dial on their business. Maybe they are like you and they only want to get to 10 and 15, which is totally, if whatever their goals are, obviously is what we want to help them. But I think we bring a lot of expertise into the space of, like we talked about, having field sales and transporting that into telesales. I still feel like we have a good training process and some good things that we go over in our meetings: tonality, verbiage, compliance. We do a good job of that. And as we've got a few agencies, this AP, all those agencies that we brought on have all cut their CPAs in half, which is awesome. It's a testament to, my partners and I being able to, get with them, work with our staff on getting them up to speed on some training platforms that we use, how we train, how we manage to, is certainly important. Your brother is really big. Your brother's really big on managing and how he handles the staff. I've noticed, and I think that's a huge deal to have a good workplace where people enjoy working. We've got a lot of guys on our staff that have really bought into what we're building, and they love working here. They love our culture is impeccable. I mean the team we have is, I think that's what sets it. And I think that's too, when you and your brother were in the old office, what we'll call it, y'all had a good start with that. A good culture, once you got a few people out that we mentioned earlier in the week, but that was huge for us starting out, as we really wanted to promote within our agency. So when we would hire agents, we were always looking at where could we use them in our business so they have the knowledge. And I think too, it kind of helps whenever you are building your vision, hiring within helps them. They already know what our goal is. They already know what the vision is. They already know where we're going. We're just, raising them to a different level and empowering them. And we do a lot of stuff too with our agents and our managers, where we do Thursday night football together. We do team dinners, we do events, we do, award banquets. We do a lot of stuff with them. And I think that's important, to breed the culture. And I think that it helps you guys share a lot of the same values. You're like, because, we're, building an airplane together. And if
Right.
everybody's, putting the rivets in and the doors and, everybody's going back, we can do this faster, which is why we've scaled so much in, 18 to 36 months, the way we have. I mean, our first AEP, we had 8 agents and we had 15 to 18 last year. Then this year we have over 100. And I think that is a testament to, from everywhere from the
Well, once you
top
start
from.
getting once you start getting agents in the door, it becomes easier to scale because all those agents are going to help you recruit.
Correct. Yeah, and
So
and
so
that's,
so
we like hiring, people who are referred to by our agents. But
of
all of our
course.
I would say 95% of our managers have all been agents of ours, so they know what our
Yeah.
expectations are. They know what compliance standards we have. We know how we train. So when they become managers, they know what the agents that they're going to have when they get put on their teams, what they're going to be like, because they've went through from A to Z on the onboarding. So I think it just helps with scalability. I know a lot of agencies that bring people from the outside in, and I'm not saying that you can't do that. It's just when we talked about hiring agents, I think it's the same way when you're hiring management. What traits did they learn? Who were they listening to? What were they learning? In other places,
Yeah.
what do they believe in? What standards do they have for their personal lives and for their business? So we spend a lot of time on manager development and making sure that they align with our values, which I think is super important, especially when you have a management staff that you guys are all aligned, spiritually, personally. You guys have the same values. I think it just helps that standard, which is a huge testament to what we've done. So I'm excited to get to the next phase of getting those 125 LOA agents and then going and helping serve 8 to 10 more agencies next year as we get ready to start
So what do
get
you
ready to start
what
that
do you
platform.
what do you offer your agencies as a upline?
So, it's a great question. Something we're going to have, available is our training process and platform. We have a pretty good onboarding system where we can take an agent from the streets, no knowledge, no real, any training at all, and take them and put them through a comprehensive course that we've created, for 2 weeks, 1 week contracting, 1 week training, and then we can have that agent writing 2 to 3, 4 deals, their first day, with our management style as well. So the training is something we offer that's huge. I think the management and how we manage agents and the cues and what we watch for and how we assist agents is also pretty key. So
Say something else
you'll
for sure.
we'll have an open book to that on how we have our agency set up, and then also too, when it comes to agency structure, something your brother does good is having that structure to where he has a process of having different people in different departments. We've followed that as well, made a few tweaks to kind of fit our culture, but we have a commission system that's pretty robust.
What about
What I think the
marketing?
big thing marketing is something that we've definitely picked up over the past 6 months. I would say, based off what I'm seeing, is except for your dollar leads that you posted, that's going to be kind of hard to beat that. But our inbound ranges, anywhere between $10 to $18, and our CPA as of yesterday was $47 for AEP so far. So,
It's amazing.
yeah, it's awesome. And again,
It's better
it's a
than it's
full.
better than it's better than that's better than what I offer. $47 CPA off inbound is great. As long
Yeah,
as
and
as
we're
long as the retention is the main thing. I love the I love outbound, and people don't. The reason people, let's be real, reason people and agency owners don't like outbound is because they think that you have to do a 48-hour scope and it takes longer and this and that. But truth be told, if you build it the right way,
yeah,
an agent, what is an agent? Look at an agent in a singular form. It's a person. It's just a person, and that person has to build relationships with people and keep those people on the books. So the reason that I like outbound and it is because it's all about the relationship. The inbound, and obviously everybody has their own different types of businesses, but I'm just giving you my example of why I like outbound. That agent has a lead. He calls the lead. He begins to build a relationship with that lead, right? Um, I'm a big pipeline guy. I'm a big follow up guy. And when you're trying to you got what you guys are doing is totally different than what I'm trying to do, right? So I'll give you. You guys are 150 agents, 15,000 apps. Like that's a whole nother level, and it's a whole nother business style. My business style is relationship first, and I want to bring agents on, 10 to 15 agents that learn that. And that relationship aspect of things to me is the most valuable. It'll have the higher retention and the higher lifetime value as well. So
yeah,
like
agreed.
if I have an agent and I train that agent, like, look, I'm going to give you, you're going to have 200 conversations a month. Your first 3 months, you're going to close 20 deals a month probably. And then coming into the third, fourth month, you're going to start closing 40 to 50 deals a month because you're going to have that pipeline. It's going to be full of people that you spoke to in prior, right? So that's the way that I like to do things, and that's the way that I'm going to continue to grow my business. It's how I sell, and I feel like if like it's just me. You have your business partners,
Sure.
like you have different talents. I'm sure you three have different talents and
Oh
skills
yeah.
and mindset sorts of things. Like for me, I'm going to build my business the way that I know how to sell, and so that because when I'm training people, I want to make sure that I train them that way, right? And I can support them properly, and that's the way that I do things. So
And you're
when
talking
I
about we're
develop
doing
those,
things when you're doing things differently, right? Which is this is an awesome conversation because we are totally completely different things. But I
yeah,
still think there's a lot of value in learning from each other. I think
of
that
course,
when you're talking about your business here, I can tell you believe in it, right? And that we're talking about things you're going to do, you're going to make it happen, you're going to do this, and that right there is the fundamental to where when we set out to have 100 LOAs, we did it. But that's because we
yeah,
believed in it, and that's to your testament. There is like this is what I want to do. You already have the roadmap and the game plan. So there's no
yeah,
question about whether you'll be able to execute it, and that's what you have to have. So very
yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited. My goal is, honestly, I think I need to increase my goals because my goal really is, if I had 5 agents this time next year ready to sell in AP, I'd be happy with that. But I know I could do 10. I know I could do 20. I just don't like. I don't have capital backing me. I don't want to take out a loan. Like I'm building my business off of my own commissions, just my
yeah.
commissions, and Lily, my one agent. She gets. I pay her 40%, and so 60% of her commission goes to the business to scale it too. So between me and her, if I go and get 10 agents, first of all, I know that I can get 10 agents, and I can just pay them commission only. But
It's not what
people
you're
don't
trying to do.
realize this. Like you think, well, I am actually. I'm cool with paying people commission only, but people don't realize this. Like when you take it's the time. It's the freaking time that I have to take to stop selling and stop making money to go and train somebody, and 10 people is a lot. 5, I could space it out through the whole year over the next 12 months, and that's not as many. But 10, if I bring on 10 people, I'm
Yep.
I'm gonna hardly have time to
You're
sell.
done. You're done selling for sure. Once you get to that 10 to
Exactly.
15 mark, your roles completely change.
I've
And
just
we've
learned.
we
I've learned that I can't bite off more than I can chew. So my goal is to get 2 people in December and hire them on for January, and then after I get them trained up and they prove themselves, then another 3 people in OEP, and going into April May, I've got my team, and I don't bite off more than I can chew. So
Yeah,
that's
for
that's
sure.
my goal. And I know that there's if I had $1 million in the bank, bro, I would hire people. I'd pay them $2,000 a month, and I'd pay them fucking $100 an app, and I'd be done with it. But I don't have that.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
I have
again,
to produce.
you've got your blueprint on paper. So, and that's like the hardest part. You were sitting here talking about the goals that we've accomplished and things that we wrote down and hit. I mean, once you hit those, I do encourage you to obviously increase them. But I think starting controllable, starting at that level to where you can
Attainable.
handle, I think there's nothing
It
wrong
has
with
to be
that at
attainable.
all. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
you're setting yourself up for to have a way more than that, but you got to get the foundation first, and that's what we did. We at one point in time we thought we were overstaffed, but I think that when we started looking at it, we were just setting we wanted to make sure we had enough people like right now for next year when we get to June and we start servicing downline agencies. I need to be ready for that now so that when we get there, I'm not hiring that management staff to while they're learning and then our new agencies are learning us. It's not a good formula.
Right.
And that's one thing that we've been we've overcompensated on our managers as well. I mean, I have more managers at one point we had more managers than we needed, but it just pushed us to say, okay, well, let's go get more agents because we're ready. And I think that was a huge thing for us too. But in the same way with you here, it sounds like you're setting that self up to where one day it is going to be something a lot bigger than what you set out to be. Because I mean, we didn't. Last year, if you'd asked, we'd had 100 agents. It was crazy. There's no way we could have done it.
Yeah.
Because we only had
But do you
we
how have you been selling the whole time you guys have been in this business? Like, have you sold any?
well, we had to because I mean
Yeah.
it's funny you asked that question. When we first started this, man, we didn't have we started this with our own money, and it's I can't I'm not going to say out loud how much it was, but a lot of people would think that it takes an incredible amount of money to do this, and we bootstrapped it from day one. I mean, we put our own money in, we sold. There was a point in time where I was selling insurance, selling roofs, and running this business at the same time because I had to feed my family at the time. I had 2 kids and a wife, and she wanted to stay home with the kids, and I was working 3 jobs really, just to make this happen when we first started. But that was just kind of you know, um, how we wanted to start it out. And when we bootstrapped it, man, it was awesome to watch. The 3 partners kind of go together and put our money where our mouth is when we started it because man, it was incredible to watch the first year. But yeah, I had to sell a lot of different things to get it started because there is a big overhead. Even at 10 agents, it's still a lot.
Right.
But now, I think it was probably for the first year, I was selling, and then after that, when the second year came around, there was no way I could. We started working in the business instead of
Yeah,
outside
that's
of it,
what
and I
I
think
that's what I want. I want to work on the business, not in the business.
yeah,
I
and it was
gotta.
hard. The first year we were doing, selling. We were, working our books of businesses, and then we were, just trying to make ends meet. And then the second year was when we really went because we could afford to pay ourselves finally. I mean, we went. I think a lot of people when they start Medicare agencies, they start living off of the money that you're making, and you can't. I mean,
I
we're
have
in this
to.
business for the renewal game, and so for the first year we went we went with no paychecks.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, it's incredible to watch the sacrifice that we made. My biggest saying is you got to give up to go up, and that's exactly what we had to do the first really. We started February 12th, so for the first 8 months of the business, we made no money. I mean, we were doing everything we could outside of here to make sure that this place was funded. So you have to understand that and you have to be willing to do that. And I think that's a
Yep.
huge testament to what me and my partners did.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you. I can hear my echo now, so I'm gonna call it.
Yeah,
Uh,
sorry.
I
My
saw
earbuds
I saw
died.
your AirPods died. It's
Yeah,
all
they
good,
died.
man. It's all good, brother. Appreciate you joining me.
Yeah, man.
Best of
Thanks for
luck
having
to
me
you
on. I
guys,
appreciate
you and
you.
your team. Sounds like y'all are awesome. I look forward to watching y'all grow and that acquisition one day.
Yeah,
So
man. Looking forward to it as well.
I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, man. See you soon.
See ya.